He's just got a latency to him that makes him extremely.
He's rubber banding everywhere.
He's
See, I think Ted could address this because he has seen me in action in the physical space doing something that's physical.
He's just sluggish, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like he moves just so slowly, like a brick wall. I mean, like a glacier wherever he goes.
He works out a lot, though. I play basketball occasionally with Hassan, and he's got the energy for it.
But he doesn't even, like, you can tell him something, like a joke. Like, you can say something funny, and he'll like... It'll take him seconds to figure it out.
Yeah, it's my ADHD, dog. You're being ableist. You're being ableist. You're being ableist.
Yeah, he's got some ping to him. I still think he's big and scary.
Yeah.
So maybe
ableist.
close loss, 50-50.
I would put a close loss.
Okay. All right.
We got.
How is Asmongold we die? Okay, that's. XC responds to YouTuber Neo explains criticism for putting on this video during stream and then leaving the room for 10 minutes. Chat, did this get re-uploaded? Wait, it didn't. So what the fuck is the problem? Wait, I'm right on both ends. Holy fuck. Okay, I'm not gonna watch this. All right. Anyway, Asmongold does poison damage. True. We might get the Trump mugshot. All right, let's get into the fucking news. All right, before we get into the mass shooting or possible shooting happening in the Senate, let's get started with our big, beautiful boy who does everything right, and they indicted him.
Unprecedented third indictment of former President Donald Trump in a federal case that could test American democracy itself. A federal grand jury formally accused Donald Trump yesterday of conspiring to overturn the 2020 election. Now,
I mean, is it cover North Africa? First of all, wouldn't it be West Africa? And, like, also, what do you mean cover North Africa? Like, just cover it? Like, do you mean I should cover it, like, physically cover it? What are we talking about? Cover it with solar panels like Akon?
Now, the 4 felony charges are conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. The indictment follows a sweeping investigation into the deadly January 6th riots and Trump's efforts to remain in power. Robert Costa begins our coverage this morning. He is on Capitol Hill. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Natalie. Former President Donald Trump faces a legal and political reckoning, and his campaign is pushing back hard against the charges, comparing the Justice Department to the Soviet Union and other authoritarian regimes. But many Trump allies behind the scenes, they are on edge, especially about former Vice President Mike Pence emerging as a key witness in this indictment.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States.
In a historic indictment, special counsel Jack Smith charged former President Donald Trump for his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election and stoke a crisis.
For his alleged efforts to do everything right. Okay? That's what his alleged efforts were.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
That's what happened. His alleged efforts to do everything right, and then they indicted him. I'm just saying. God damn, there's so much, dude. There's the Lizzo shit. There's the Rudy Giuliani shit. There's so much. Would he be allowed to run for president from prison? There's only one charge and one charge only that could render him useless in the election cycle, and that is if he's charged, I believe, with, isn't it treason? I think one of the charges in the January 6th actually does stop him from running for election. But other than that, sedition. Other than that, he's clear. He could be literally arrested for murder, and he could still run for president from prison, as a matter of fact. Oh, God, he's so good. He's so sexy. I love him.
Crisis in American democracy.
As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government.
I have to pee.
The 45-page indictment listed 6 unnamed and uncharged co-conspirators. Sources close to the investigation say the indictment suggests that lawyers Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, as well as former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, could be the potential co-conspirators, though the special counsel has not confirmed the identities.
Guys, I can't go to piss, okay? I have to hold it in. I have to hold it in the whole day, because if someone catches me off guard, if someone catches me slipping, if someone catches me pissing, dude, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap, boys. It's time for the pee bottle. I need to start. Yeah, I'm stealing views from fucking CBS Mornings. You know what I'm saying? Who cares, piss queen? I'm just kidding. I'm going to go do that in a second. I just don't want to leave right now.
It's a rigged election, but we're still fighting it.
The special counsel laid out the case that Trump knowingly spread lies about the election, despite repeatedly being told his...
Brian killed me with throwing shade on you for watching his clip and walking away. Said you were really stupid. Yeah, he said he said react harder.
Claims of fraud were false, including by his own attorney general after the election.
I told him that the stuff that his people were shoveling out to the public were that the claims of fraud were.
The special counsel accuses Trump of orchestrating a plan to overturn the 2020 election results by organizing fake electors in 7 targeted states in which he lost, and pressured state officials, including Georgia Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
I just want to find
a perfect phone call. You're just describing a perfect phone call. What do you mean? He did everything right and they indicted him.
11,780 votes.
We're going to walk down.
Dude, that's such a fucking dead to rights, funny ass. God, I love that. I love that phone call. It is a perfect phone call, okay? It is so perfect because it's yet again Donald Trump doing things in the most Trumpian way possible. It is such a cartoonish way to operate, to just be like, I am doing something illegal. I have the knowledge that what I'm doing is something illegal. And I will say all of the right things. Like, even if in other circumstances, it's something that you could possibly get away with. I am going to do this in this haphazard way. I'm going to do this in the stupidest way possible. That will absolutely get me in trouble because I am fully aware that this is not something that I legally can do. It's like saying your full fucking name, date of birth, social security number, and not using a balaclava or a shiesty or anything like that while robbing a bank, and then openly stating that you're robbing a fucking bank. You know what I mean? I, Hassan Piker, am using a gun to rob this bank. It's so odd. Like, dude, he didn't even... Okay, that's Gold Gregory. That's a great point. He didn't even ballpark it. He didn't even say like, I need like around 12,000 votes. Like, even there's an out there. You know, you could just say like, this is... He didn't even fucking ballpark it. He just said the exact number, which makes it so much worse. God, I love that. I love him so much for being so specific and such a buffoon, okay? It's awesome. It's perfect. All right, I got to pee. I'll be back.
To the Capitol.
The special counsel also makes the case the former president directed his supporters to go to the Capitol on January 6 while Congress was in the process of certifying the election.
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Trump has denied any wrongdoing and in a statement Tuesday called the indictment disgraceful and unprecedented political targeting. Sources tell CBS News former President Trump's legal team is now mapping out a new strategy to push back on the charges, shifting blame onto lawyers like John Eastman, who were advising him at the time. According to the indictment, Eastman pressured then Vice President Mike Pence not to formally certify the 2020 election results and presented Trump with a plan on how to do so.
All we are demanding of Vice President Pence is this afternoon at 1 o'clock, he let the legislatures of the state look into this.
Pence, in a statement Tuesday, said today's indictment serves as an important reminder. Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States.
Trump is now scheduled to appear in federal court here in Washington on Thursday at 4 p.m. sharp. That will be his first appearance. Some of his allies have been making responses to this indictment. John Eastman's attorney said the indictment relies on a misleading presentation of the record and, quote, if Eastman is indicted, he will go to trial. That's from Eastman's attorney. And Rudy Giuliani's lawyer said this indictment, quote, eviscerates the First Amendment, and every fact Giuliani possesses about this case establishes the good faith basis President Donald Trump had for the actions he took. And meanwhile, over at the White House, spokespeople there have declined to comment. Gail.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We're going to begin this hour with more on former President Donald Trump. He is scheduled to be in a federal court in Washington tomorrow.
Stop spamming the cherry mode, chat. God damn it. Good faith. This is why Ron DeSantis continues to hang out around despite nobody liking him. Yeah, but I don't think Ron DeSantis. You want to know the saddest part about this? Little Rhonda, in spite of this Hail Mary from the Trump side, which might render him inoperable, unable to run by some, like, Hail Mary, Little Rhonda is so disastrously uncharismatic that it doesn't matter. Like Tim Scott's doing better almost. I mean, he's not, but it's pretty crazy. Now, there's more on the 5-part plan to overturn the election, which was fucking incredible, by the way. And this is all straight up from like actual unsealed documents, some of which we knew about already, some of which we have exact detailed information on now. Trump's third indictment alleges a 5-part plot to overturn the election. 1, knowingly making false claims of election fraud to get state legislators and election officials to subvert the legitimate results. 2, organizing a fraudulent slate of electors in 7 targeted slates. 3, using the DOJ's power to conduct sham election crime investigations. 4, trying to get former VP Mike Pence to fraudulently alter the election results, to which he responded with, "No, Mr. President, I do not think I have the capacity to do that." Did I say something wrong? 7 targeted states? Oh, I said slates? My bad. And number 5, this is the best one, exploiting January 6th violence to get members of Congress to delay certification. And then, if his plan came to fruition, which, by the way, there was no indication that it would ever work, but if his plan were to come to fruition, he said that he would just use the military. He just straight up use the fucking military to squash any kind of protest against him. It's awesome. Now, of course, we got to take a look at what Fox News is saying about all this. Let's take a look. They're panicking a little bit.
Your country anymore.
Kat made this into a horror movie because they're panicking, so they're trying to do everything they can to make it seem like it's not as bad, or rather, it's the government at fault here. You know what I mean? I also am kind of hungry, so I'm going to look for things to eat. Eat the room. What? Eat the room fan? Yeah, I'm gonna eat that. No eating, only react. Yeah, I know. I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad boy. Fox News hosts are all. How are they going to prove he didn't believe the election lies he was saying? And I don't know. Probably the same way they proved you didn't believe the election lies you were saying. Yeah. Watching election liars defend an election liar by saying maybe the election lies are true, even though we all know they don't believe any of it. A truly incredible performance tonight. Yeah, it's so weird. Do they not realize that, like, you can subpoena? Okay, there's two. Hold on. There's a second thing here. Recorded conver. Where he clearly defines he's can't stop. There it is. Oh God, Hasanabi's making a log into the manifestation factory. It will fucking happen. Oh, dude. At this point, I have zero doubts in my mind that we will have Donald Trump straight up just openly be like, I knew the election was a lie, but I kept lying. I kept lying to them folks. Believe me, I lied. I lied so good. I was knowingly and willingly lying. I know the election was lost. I don't care. What are they going to do? Arrest me? The only defense is that he's mentally ill and cannot be held accountable for his actions, so he has no understanding of the definition of evil. Yeah. There's also, yes, we're going to do Hogwatch for all of the... we're going to do Hogwatch for all the MAGA supporters who are, like, losing their minds currently and presently. Do not fear. Fear not. Trump can't stop admitting that things on tape, like Hunter can't stop smoking crack with a gun on tape. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Are you going to talk about Lizzo? Yeah, I think if I have some time. There's so much to cover, dude. Why New York City? I'm here for my mom's dissertation. Anyway, let's look at Fox News and how they're reacting to this.
The legal equivalent of the French guillotine.
A political war crime.
A junk indictment.
The shredding of our Constitution.
They're going full banana republic, full third world on this.
Third world banana republic.
Full banana republic.
Complaining to a governor over the phone? Speaking at a rally?
Never feels like they have the best lawyers.
It's a crime to ask Pence not to certify?
He still believes the election was stolen, and he has good cause to believe so.
You have every right to think an election might be rigged.
We care about the system.
This is the criminalization of disinformation.
Thank you, 34 MKD50 with another 50 gifted subs. Holy moly, dude.
Are we going to now have to go back and find fraud in the 2020 election? Is this now what we're going to go relitigate? I wonder if Pence would agree that that was a crime.
Your mom is defending her dissertation. That's dope. Congrats. I have to put you in the acknowledgments of my dissertation when I finish because I literally listen to you most of the time that I'm writing it right now. Hell yeah. No need to read out loud, but I wasn't here for the Reactgate segment, but just so you know, that bitch Twitter user Ludwig answered to was posting his ass off during the Hassan enslaves his mom moment. Some of his tweets about you are legit psychotic. Wait, no fucking way. The guy that said, why are all Twitch streamers trash, also was the type of dude who said, I enslaved my mom. Please show me that fucking tweet, please. I need to see that, because that was like another one of these. Oh, that's not very surprising, but also that just goes to show that my fucking most normal haters are so psychotic. Capitol shooter was a false alarm, no shooter. Okay, well, there you go. Didn't have to even cover it. How long has this been going on? It's basically been going on for years and years. It hasn't stopped. Have you tried making your own content? Hasanabi is an actual drama farmer. Have you tried making your own content instead of leeching off others? Okay, boss man. We're not going to block you. We're not going to ban you. Just stick around and see if this is me making my own content or I'm drama farming. When you ironically came in here to try to farm drama. Okay, boss man. See for yourself. You found it? Man, kind of fucked up that Hassan is taking advantage of his mom by having her live with him as a housemaid when he has enough money to hire staff. How dare you go after his mom, sicko. Very socialist and progressive to use family members for free. Convenient labor. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's one of those guys. He was one of those guys. The guy that Ludwig was responding to. Bro, stop chewing gum, please. I can't. Yeah, socialism is when you fucking don't allow your family members to live with you. That's the what the fuck? Dude, that's awesome. That's new levels of schizo right there. I remember this because it was so psychotic at the time that I was like, wow, my haters are fucking deranged, huh? That's awesome. Just pay your mom like Austin. Yeah, that is pretty fire. Let me see if I want to. I got 2,000 likes too. That's fire. Is the Secret Lab decent or overhyped? I don't really know. When your mom makes you food, does she also eat or has to make something else for herself? No, of course I would never eat with the help. Get a normal chair. I have another one. It's not good for you. I'm not using this chair all the time, man. It's always good to take a glance at what these fucking absolute psychopaths have to say, though, about like normal interactions and whatnot. Because then you get to realize like where these guys are coming from. Are you tapping the glass right now? A little bit. Huh. Also, it's this really super American thing to just not ever have your family members take care of you once you become an adult. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really understand how this dude is. Please stop. I'm not done yet. I mean, I don't know. Social welfare is a good thing, better than throwing the elderly in a care facility. My mom is not even elderly. It's so fucking stupid. That happens on Twitch. Be real. Do you tell your mom not to look you in the eyes when she sees you like Ellen DeGeneres? Yeah, of course. Always. That guy's European and streams on Twitch sometimes. You want to hear his voice? This is what he sounds like.
I think the best way to approach the game in general is just like accepting that you shouldn't rush the story completely and just play, like just play a few quests a day, take it slow, take it.
Every single one of these Twitch haters, every single one of these haters of like Twitch streaming also have launched their own failed initiative at streaming on Twitch. That Bulwark guy also got manipulated into joining a mutual suicide pact by a Ukrainian catfish. By the way, wait, what? I thought it was only fans who criticize you. No, my fans don't. My fans will get mad at certain things and then they become haters usually, but it's just like... Will you invite Fusi on stream when you get back to LA? Probably not. There's always a tweet. There's always this tweet from your haters. Oh my God. Yeah, the whole Lolly debate was dumb because they were clearly joking. David is the youngest character on the crew and he's 17 in the finale, so Rebecca must be at least 20 or something. Dude, oh my God. Do not key search Lolly in my haters chats, okay? Do not key search Lolly. They will be defending it every time. Okay, we already know what happened there. Has he chatted in here before? Maybe. Let's look it up. No, he's never chatted in here. Stop tapping, you're gonna break the glass. I don't think I should post this. I feel like it's too ruthless. I was gonna say, wonder why this guy only sees negative things about streamers. Maybe because he thinks I'm enslaving my mom because I got a house large enough to live with her. Obviously, there's plenty of cringe stuff that happens on Twitch, but maybe this dude is not the best arbiter of. Shit on him like Ninja shat on that small streamer. That small streamer wasn't a small streamer at all. That was bullshit. Yeah, I'm not going to post it. It's so played out at this point. Why do they keep going back to this? Yeah, I'm not going to do it. What is this React content? Are you now even making money off of people's tweets? Do you not know how that some people invest a lot of time in their own tweets to be very original? Yeah, I know. Everything technically, you're not even wrong. Everything technically is. Last time you let chat talk you out of a tweet, you got burned. Anyways, go for it. Nah, it's fine. I don't want like fans to go and fucking harass him aggressively because that's probably what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's called character growth. Watch people shit on you even if you chose not to post it. I mean, this is a good post overall. I don't think there's any negative. Like, this is different than Bebela Nicki Minaj incident. But it's always funny because it's like, I'm going to tell Ludwig about that. Hold on. But remember, every time there is a sometimes valid and sometimes invalid criticism online from someone on Twitter, like an account on Twitter with like 100K followers, 50K followers, 60K followers, whatever, there is almost always a person behind that account who is very much upset that they couldn't make it on Twitch. Oh, come here. Oh, yep. Oh, thank you so much. You're welcome. All right. Yeah, you can take it. Thank you so much. I'm at a gamer cafe. Of course, I got to get chicken tendies, chat. You already know what it is. All right, let's get back to the unprecedented third indictment for Donald Trump.
Tomorrow to face new criminal charges in connection with efforts to hold on to power after losing the 2020 election, including the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Now, he is accused of 4 felonies, and they are conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Scott MacFarlane has covered the January 6th investigation from the very start and is on the Capitol now with more on this story. Scott, good morning. A lot to digest here.
It is, Gail. Good morning. The president's accused of knowingly spreading election lies to stop Congress from counting that electoral vote January 6th, and of pressuring officials in 7 targeted states, each of which was won by President Biden. In a statement Tuesday night, Special Counsel Jack Smith called it an attack on democracy. This 45-page indictment lists 6 unnamed, uncharged co-conspirators. Sources close to the investigation say the indictment suggests lawyers Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, and former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark could be those potential co-conspirators, though the special counsel has not confirmed the identities. According to the indictment, Eastman pressured then Vice President Mike Pence not to formally certify those election results and even presented Trump with a memo on how to do it. Eastman's lawyer called the indictment misleading and said his client denies any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the former president posted a barrage of videos last night calling the indictment a criminalization of free speech and another political war crime. Trump's court appearance scheduled for here tomorrow afternoon is before the same magistrate judge, Natalie, that accepted that grand jury indictment late yesterday.
It's pretty funny to claim this when in fact this is absolutely a reasonable boundary on free speech. Free speech doesn't mean that you can say whatever you want. It's like getting upset that someone yelled fire in a crowded movie theater and being like, well, that's crazy. It's like someone getting arrested on the suspicion that they're going to do a school shooting because they said they're going to do a school shooting. You know what I mean? They like planned it out or whatever. Like, yes, of course. In the United States of America, we have a much more lax approach to whatever you can say, both online and in the privacy of your home, whatever the fuck. However, this is one of those circumstances. Oh, God. Wait, what? Not the fire in a crowded theater shit? I mean, but it doesn't matter. There are understandable and reasonable limitations. That one is a silly one to use, but it's one that everybody kind of understands, even if it's not fully correct. You cannot incite a riot, for example. Okay? Free speech also doesn't mean you are free of the consequences of said speech. Yeah, there's a charge for terroristic threats. So, you can't do that. You just can't do that at all. I don't know why you think you can. This is a reasonable restriction on the First Amendment.
And now, Scott, you have covered nearly all of the January 6th cases. What strikes you the most about this moment?
Natalie, in a sense, former President Trump's about to cross paths with so many of those other January 6 riot defendants who said they were here at the Capitol that day at his direction, in his name. Donald Trump's about to be prosecuted in that same federal courthouse where those 1,000-plus riot defendants have been prosecuted. His court appearance tomorrow is in a neighboring courtroom from other January 6 defendants, and it's the same charge. Obstruction of an official proceeding that 300-plus January 6 defendants have faced, some of whom have been imprisoned on that charge. And also, Natalie, the judge in this case, Judge Tanya Chutkan, a 2014 appointee. I've sat through hundreds of hearings, many of them with Judge Chutkan at the bench. She has been uniquely, powerfully strident in her denunciations of January 6th and everything that gave rise to it. This is her case after tomorrow.
Oh, so cooked. So fucking cooked.
Joining me now is the former president's newest attorney to his team, John Lauro. John, thanks so much for being here tonight. You've read through this indictment. What is your defense going to look like?
Well, it's basically a regurgitation of the J6 committee report, but our focus is on the fact that this is an attack on free speech and political advocacy. And there's nothing that's more protected under the First Amendment than political speech. So at the end, our defense is going to be focusing on the fact that what we have now is an administration that has criminalized the free speech and advocacy of a prior administration during the time that there is a political election going on. That's unprecedented. We've never seen that in the United States, in the history of the United States. So literally what we have is an attack and really an effort to not only criminalize but also censor free speech. Donald Trump had every right to advocate for his position. While he was president, he saw irregularities, he saw deficiencies in the election process. He raised those. He was being told under oath by...
Like, you can't defend conspiring to break the law and conspiring to do a crime with the genuine intent to follow through on said crime on free speech grounds. This is not something that you can do. Unless you are truly able to craft a defense around some kind of like artistic interpretation or something like that. Unless you're literally like, no, Your Honor, this was a Hollywood script that we were following on. You misunderstood. You can't just be like, we should go rob a bank. Here are the maps. Here are the details. I will facilitate everything. And if the cops come, then we'll go and shoot back at them and blah, blah, blah. And then when you get caught, you go, oh, I was just exercising my free speech. Like, you can't do that.
People around the country that there were problems with the election. He also saw in real time that the rules were changing without the state legislatures weighing in. And ultimately, he had every right.
By the way, it's just rap lyrics. I didn't actually kill people. You're right. You could make an argument for free speech in that regard. You absolutely could, because that's a song. Trump is the president. He's not rapping about fraudulent electors that he wants to set up, or utilizing the military in the inevitable reaction that comes from him trying to successfully stop normal Congress proceedings from continuing by inciting a riot.
Right, in fact, a responsibility as a United States president to raise those issues. And now his advocacy is being criminalized.
Well, those are secretaries of state who were making those changes in those states because of the pandemic that was happening. You talk about free speech. Jack Smith noted Trump's right to free speech and to contest the election results. But what he says in this indictment is that when that did not work, the defendant, your client, pursued unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results.
He didn't say, wake up in the morning, I got January 6th on my mind. Top of the hour comes and goes, and I ain't subscribed. Gonna commit a felony to make sure I get that Twitch Prime. Wake up in the morning, top of the hour ad break on my mind. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Bars. That's right. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Moth666, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And also, Plato1507, thank you for the 25 community gifted subs, allowing 30 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour.
Results, and that is why he is being charged here, not because of anything related to free speech.
Yeah, but that's factually inaccurate, because the ultimate request that Mr. Trump made to Vice President Pence was pause the vote counting, allow the states to weigh in ultimately and audit or recertify. And under Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, the actual responsibility for qualifying electors is in the state legislatures. Mr. Trump had the advice of counsel, Mr. Eastman, who was one of the most respected constitutional scholars in the United States, giving him advice and guidance. That's pure politics. You may disagree with it, and people have spirited arguments about the law all the time, and that's why lawyers are in business. But we've never had a situation where a spirited debate about the Constitution has become a criminal case. What's going to happen when there's a Republican administration? Is there going to be an effort to criminalize speech by Democrats? Is there going to be an effort to characterize something that a Democrat politician says that's not?
If a Democratic politician did exactly what Donald Trump did, they would be killed. Okay? First of all, Democrats are quite literally spineless cowards, so good luck with that. But if a Democrat actually followed through, like if Joe Biden was like, yeah, Jack, I know I lost the election, but fuck it. Why? Let's do something about it, Jack. Went to Kamala Harris and was like, come on. We need to put this on pause, Jack. Republicans would kill him. They would be like, all right, well, this is treason. We are going to shoot him. And then Democrats, in the interest of bipartisanship, would be like, okay, you can shoot him. But just like, I don't know, shoot him in the lower half of his body. Don't shoot him in the face. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. This comparison is nuts.
That doesn't meet some kind of truth standard at the Department of Justice, that's going to be the subject of a criminal indictment. We've now entered a constitutional abyss as a result of this indictment.
No, the real constitutional abyss has been ongoing, but specifically will happen if Donald Trump ends up winning the presidency while he's in jail.
But John, I should note that you're saying that he was just asking him to send them back. No, I was just talking to the chief of staff who was with Pence that day. He said he was being asked to do something illegal that Pence did not have the right to do, to reject them. And you mentioned the attorneys there that you say, John Eastman, he's a co-conspirator in this indictment. I should note, in the indictment lists all of the people who told Trump that his claims about election fraud weren't true, including the vice president, senior Justice Department leaders, the Director of National Intelligence, CISA, which of course is in charge of making sure elections in the U.S. are secure, senior White House attorneys, campaign staffers, state legislators that you just...
Oh my God. Trump deserves everything he's getting, dude. B-Gonks, thank you for the 5-tier 1 gift the subs. You put Sidney Powell in a room with you, you deserve it. Also, what the fuck is Cheese Bro? Kenneth Cheese Bro? What are these lawyers? Where do you find them? I'm sorry, dog. You hire a guy by the name of Kenneth Cheese Bro for anything. Like, you hire him to fucking fry some French fries for you, you deserve to be food poisoned, okay? My man's name is Kenneth Cheese Bro, dude.
Mentioned there in the courts.
Right. What was not true? That there were states where ballots were sent out without people asking for them, where there were changes in verification, where there were instances where ballots were not being supervised at drop-off places. The president was told, given advice, that under these circumstances, the state legislatures have the ultimate ability to qualify electors. He followed that advice. Now, you may disagree as to whether or not those things actually occurred or not. That's why we have political debate. We don't have criminal trials over that. We have the discussion like we're just having.
But it matters if those things actually occurred or not, John.
Not under the First Amendment.
But it matters if those things actually occurred because...
Not at all, because under the First Amendment...
It does matter if it was actually fraud.
No, the First Amendment allows...
But John, let me stop you there, because if he's saying that there was fraud, the First Amendment doesn't allow the President of the United States to go and claim there was fraud when he was told there was not fraud and then try to subvert the election by overturning legitimate electors. I mean, it says it right here in the actual indictment.
Absolutely.
The only smoking gun in this, and I believe in my heart of heart it exists, is just Trump dead to rights being like, I knew it was not, I knew it was fraudulent. There was no fraud. I lied. What can they do about it? I lied. What are they going to do? Throw me in jail? I wanted to do a riot. It would be so sick. I mean, I think they already have Dead to Rights a lot of information to get him clapped up. But it would be so awesome because I know, given what I know about Donald Trump, and I am the number one Trump historian in the country, number one stand for Donald Trump in the country, in the nation. I know in my heart of hearts it's out there. He has said it. And it was probably recorded.
The First Amendment protects all speech. If we're going to have a situation where the Department of Justice is going to fact check politicians and indict politicians for political speech and whether or not they're factually accurate, then this country will shut down politically because it's a never-ending cycle of tit for tat. And that's the risk of injecting politics into the criminal justice system. So right now, people disagree with President Trump. What's going to happen 4 years from now if somebody disagrees with President Biden in terms of what he said during the election?
Great. First of all, that'd be fire. Lock him up. You know what I mean? But secondly, I love that this guy is just straight up being like, no, you can lie to try to deliberately incite a riot and also change the outcome of an election. Like, you should be able to do that. Like, why is that illegal? Like, that's the argument here, which is crazy. I need you to understand. He's doing lawyer speak, but, like, ultimately what his argument is like, well, it shouldn't be illegal. Like, you should be able to absolutely just, you know, willingly and knowingly lie about the outcome of an election when everyone around you has told you that you're incorrect. People in your cabinet, people around you have told you that you're incorrect, and you're desperately seeking out lawyers that will tell you that you're actually right, like some sycophants. And then you move on and you try to stop normal processes from occurring with this like half-assed, like cooked up plan with knowing full well that it will cause riots all around the nation with the idea that you're going to utilize the military to squash said riots. And also conspire to set up false electors, too.
That's why we don't criminalize political speech. Political speech under the First Amendment has an almost absolute protection. Nobody gets to judge whether it's true or not except the American people.
Except a president has lied under oath, like perjured himself under oath. Bill Clinton. He did. Nixon as well, but Bill Clinton too. Like, you couldn't, I don't know, someone was screaming in the background. You can't just like get away with it. You can't be like, oh, it's First Amendment.
And we do that in an election. We do that in an election. We do that in the case of a president by impeachment, but we don't indict people for speech.
I got to stop you there. But Trump is not being indicted for lying here. He is being indicted for using unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and trying to subvert the election results.
Well, what's the unlawful means? There was an effort to get alternate electors.
He was trying to overturn
which is a protocol
fake electors who were not legitimate.
That was used in 1960 by John Kennedy. And it was a protocol that was constitutionally accepted. So there's nothing wrong about that. In fact, in the indictment itself, it doesn't allege that there was anything wrong. And the final ask that Mr. Trump made to Vice President Pence was simply pause the voting. There's nothing inherently unconstitutional or illegal about that. In fact, he had an opinion.
That's so awesome. No, you can just simply ask, dude. Like, okay, let me explain something to you. For example, let's say you tell Mike Pence that you are going to acquire a gun and simply shoot him in the fucking head. Okay? And then, Mike Pence immediately goes to the authorities and says, this person made a death threat towards me. Okay? You can't turn around and go, well, I simply said I'm going to get a weapon and shoot him in the head, but that's allowed. Like, you can say it. It's like something that I could just say. I didn't like actually mean it, even though I did mean it, and I planned for what to do after I shot you in the head, and also conspired to shoot you in the head, conspired to get a gun, which is technically legal. It's under my Second Amendment rights. Like, you can't do that. The idea that this guy says that the request is legal is silly. John Eastman, who made the final ask, literally proposed it to Pence as a violation of the law. His words. At 11:44 p.m., co-conspirator 2 emailed the vice president's counsel advocating that the vice president violate the law and seek further delay of the certification. Co-conspirator 2 wrote, I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the ECA and adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislatures to finish their investigations, as well as to allow a full forensic audit of the massive amount of illegal activity that has occurred here. Just a minor violation. Trump's legal team loves to say that he's within his rights to contest election results, but Al Gore did that with the legal system without inciting his voters to the Capitol. He fought in the courts and lost frustratingly. If Trump left it at that, it would have been at least precedented and more palatable, understandable, but obviously he lost all the court cases of the problem. He escalated to an extrajudicial solution. Yes. And also, with respect to Al Gore, he didn't just lose in the courts. The Republicans even then used extrajudicial reasons or extrajudicial solutions, which were not criminally prosecuted, that caused a recount from stopping. So Republicans back then successfully used an extrajudicial solution to physically stop a recount from occurring in the state of Florida. It was called the Brooks Brothers riot. So, of course, they probably think they could have gotten away with it again, I assume.
From a very well-known constitutional scholar that said that's fine, that's legal. Mr. Trump is not a lawyer. He's a businessman.
His own attorney general and officials said that was not fine, that was certainly illegal that he was asking. And they weren't just asking for a pause. He was asking to overturn the legitimate results. But John, let me ask you, because you're running point on this. Is Trump going to show up in person?
He was asked.
Let me ask you this. Is Trump going to show up in person for his arraignment on Thursday?
That's up to the court. The court makes those decisions. So we're prepared to follow whatever the court rules are.
John,
the judge issued a summons, and he will appear either virtually or in person.
Okay, so it's not clear if it's virtually or in person. But one thing to get back to there, he's not just asking for a pause. Your client.
No. You have to look at his last.
John, your
you have
client
to look
is on
at what he
tape.
said. You have to look at what he said at the ellipse. Have you read the ellipse speech?
John, you got to let me finish my point here. Your client, John,
when you look
is
at the
on
ellipse
tape
speech,
with
that's
the
exactly what he said.
The Secretary of State of the state of Georgia. John, you got to let me finish my point here.
Go
I'm
ahead.
letting you finish your point.
Absolutely.
But your
Go
client
ahead.
is on tape with the Secretary of State from the state of Georgia asking him to find him one more vote than he would need to win the state. That's not asking for a pause. He's asking for votes that he did not get in that election.
He was asking for the Secretary of State to identify votes that were not counted properly and factor.
That's the hardest one to defend. I gotta hand it to him, bro. Respect. You gotta be a real fucking shark to just openly state things like that on national television. Like, he's out of his freaking mind, dude. I mean, come on, brother. He didn't even ballpark it. That's the worst part. In my opinion, if he ballparked it, even then it's like indefensible. But at least there's a tiny sliver of like bad faith, cynical defenses you can apply. He just straight up said the exact number +1. Like, that's insane. That makes it worse, in my opinion. Like, he didn't just ballpark and be like, come on, 15,000, 12,000. He's like 11,843 or whatever. Oh, 11,786 votes.
That in. And by the way, that discussion took place with dozens of people on a phone call with lawyers involved, and no one was suggesting doing anything illegal.
Yeah, he was going to use the military. I talked about this earlier. He just straight up said, well, Deputy White House Counsel, that's why there is an Insurrection Act. The Deputy White House Counsel reiterated to co-conspirator 4 that there had not been outcome determinative fraud in the election, that if the defendant remained in office nonetheless, there would be riots in every major city in the United States. To which co-conspirator 4 responded, well, Deputy White House Counsel, that's why there's an Insurrection Act. Trump is in the age range of watching The Price is Right like it's his religion. He's just doing what he's been trained for. That's a good take, actually. That's probably why. That's probably why he hit the exact number necessary. God, it's so good. It's so good. American politics is so good all the time, always. Just fucking incredible, dude.
And no one during that call said, Mr. President, that's beyond the bounds. This is politics. This indictment is about pure politics. We engage in vigorous debate in this country about politics. What we don't do is criminalize political speech. This indictment is a game changer. It's the first time that we've taken political speech and said, we're going to criminalize it by the party that's in control against the party that's contesting the next election, where the two individuals involved are going to be running for office. That is an incredible set of circumstances.
John, if you believe that you have a good defense here for your client, do you believe...
Yo, he's dripped up, dude. Wait, hold up.
That is an incredible...
John...
God damn. Look at my lawyer. Oh, you guys can't see because I'm covering it. Dude. My lawyer is jiggling, dude. Look at my lawyer, brother. He's too hot. He's too dripped. He's too fucking dripped out the wazoo to be an adequate lawyer. I'm saying it. I'm calling it. Can't have a guy like this. He should be a YouTube lawyer. You know what I mean? That's what he should be doing. You should be doing YouTube law like Legal. Except Legal is way hotter than he is.
If you believe that you have a good defense here for your client, do you believe that this trial should happen before the 2024 election?
It should not interfere with the election, but really what the indictment has done is identify 7 states
But should it happen before the election?
Where there were irregularities. I need to look at what so-called evidence is going to be presented. I could see this trial lasting 9 months or a year, but it's going to take... Mr. Trump is entitled to a defense. The government has had 3 years to investigate this, and now they want to rush this to trial in the middle of a political season. What does that tell you? We deserve as much time as any American citizen to defend on these issues as anyone else. And for the government to have 3 years to do it and then expect us to do it in 3 weeks or 4 weeks is just ridiculous. Every single person in the United States is entitled to due process, including the former president.
Okay, John. Well, just notable given your client was saying, that they took too long to make these charges. But John Lara, thank you for joining us. I know that we will see you
I hope to see
many
you
times
again.
going forward as you're representing the former president. In this case, Anderson, back to you.
Caitlin, thanks. Back with Van Jones, Jessica Roth, Ellie.
Oh, my Lord, dude. Former President Donald Trump's attorney, John Lauro.
Welcome back to CBS Mornings.
Now talking to CBS Mornings. But before we get into that, hold up. Here's Charlie Kirk's take on it. Talking to Representative Dan Bishop of the House Judiciary
Jack Smith
Committee.
Indictment of Trump is the capstone of what we're seeing in the Democratic Party that is authoritarian to its core at the moment.
And these people are Maoists. Congressman Bishop, great work. We have your back. Thank you so much.
The Democratic Party is Maoist, dude. How will the MAGA communists cope with this? I thought the real Maoist movement was MAGA. The real peasants' rebellion would occur under the MAGA umbrella. The only Maoist Democrat is Van Jones, okay, who was a Maoist third worldist and is not any longer.
Thank you, Charlie.
ReliefFactor.com, 100% drug-free Relief Factor.
I love the ad read right into it.
Clear on that throughout. I was clear with
What the hell? I can't even hear shit.
President Trump throughout all the way up to the morning of January 6th. But let's be clear on this point. It wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted in the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued. So,
oh no, dude, yo, fake friends, dude, fake fucking friends, dude. Yo, gonna really change the game. Everybody's out here snitching. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's real messed up, dude. Oh God. Snakes all around. I saw a tweet that was like, yo, Mike Pence might be a magician the way my dogs turned into snakes. Fuck. That's right, dude. That's fucked up, dude. Yo. That's fucked up. No wonder they were trying to kill this man. You think you know someone, am I right? Yeah, what the fuck? Pull a full Ludwig? Yeah. Air Force 2, more like Air Force 2-face? True, dude. How dare you?
Martha, I just people can read the indictment, and frankly, I've said before, I had hoped it had not come to this point. You know, I don't know if the government can meet the standard, the burden of proof beyond reasonable doubt for criminal charges, but the American people deserve to know.
I love that he's like, they won't meet the standard, but here I am telling you why it is criminal technically. That's awesome.
That President Trump and his advisors didn't just ask me to pause. They asked me to reject votes, return votes, essentially to overturn the election and to keep faith with the oath that I made to the American people and to Almighty God. I rejected that out of hand, and I did my duty that day.
Almighty God. It's crazy. And then he told absolutely nobody about any of this until now. No, I think he did. He wrote it in his book, remember? Pretty sure he did. Everyone's been celebrating him as a hero on the liberal side a little bit. Like, they've been glazing him up. The tabs look so bad on Twitter right now. Looks like you're a porn addict. I mean, you know. There is some porn in my tabs. Have you seen this, dude? Look at my tabs. This is basically porn for me. Technically, you're not wrong. The sheriff of Fulton County, Georgia, says if Donald Trump were to be indicted in connection with efforts to overturn the 2020 election in the state, he would not receive special treatment and would be booked and photographed like any other defendant. Oh my God, if they perp walk him and photograph him, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to fucking lose it. It's going to be so good. Oh, dude. Oh, that's so sick. For the record, a reporter films active shooter scare at the U.S. Senate appears to be a false alarm. Remember that? Before some hogwatch, here's some libwatch.
And further overt acts in furtherance of that agreement.
When you report on the indictment, but she keeps sucking. That's so dumb. Are you dressing fancy for the indictment tomorrow? I mean, maybe. We got leftovers in the morning. So I'm going to ask Ethan to potentially put a suit and tie on too and wear one on my stream. Nothing can come of this. Indictments in the form of real punishments. Do you think anything will come of this one? I mean, I think he's got a bunch of... his situation keeps getting worse and worse. Like the first one, the Manhattan District Attorney one was like... That was a bit of a stretch, right? Like he was still in a very Trumpian fashion. It took something that originally would be considered maybe not illegal, but like not cool to do, that you would pay a fine for. And did it in a way so openly and so flagrantly that you could technically consider it criminal. Then the second indictment from the Jack Smith prosecution came down, and it was like, oh, it's open and shut. But you could say technically that mishandling classified documents isn't the worst crime of all time, even though it is an open and shut indictment that was airtight. You know what I mean? And then this last one came down where you got false electors and you have conspiracy to defraud conspiracy to defraud the American people, trying to incite a riot, trying to incite an insurrection, and like actively working and even calling up the Rathlisberger, not Pittsburgh's very own local celebrity, and then stating that you want the exact number of electors. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You should have time arraignment isn't until 4 p.m. EST tomorrow. Anyway, Steelers haven't had a losing season in 2 decades. I think that maybe one thing to consider is that straight up intimidated federal, state prosecutors, judges, their families. I'd like to think that they won't let that slide regardless of their parties. I mean, I think that more importantly than anything else, like it's not a duty to protect one another. It's not a duty to protect like the justice system or elections or anything like that. I think it's more so that Trump is seen as a liability by the Republican Party for stuff like this. Because if you just like kept it to... If he just kept it to, doing incredible things for the Republican donor class, which he did, and just kept it at that, he would not be considered as big as a liability, and the Republican Party's infrastructure would be willing to defend him as they did throughout his tenure. You know what I mean?
Conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election results, which ended with the January 6th assault on the Capitol. So far, he is the only defendant in this particular case. With us now, John Laurel.
Yinzers do not make Eagles fans look normal. That is some excellent Pennsylvania cope. I'm sorry. It's just not true. You want it to be true. No matter how hard you wish it to be true, it is not. As far as I understand, no Pittsburgh Steeler fan has ever eaten horse manure. obviously no Pennsylvania sports fan is normal. It's usually just like, it's usually just a pit of despair. It's a race to the bottom. But I would say Pittsburgh fans are a little more normal, even though they're both abnormal.
Attorney representing the former president. John, good to see you.
Good morning.
Welcome
to be here.
To the set. We're glad to have you here in person. So let's start with some basic information. Is the former president planning to appear in court on Thursday in Washington?
That's really up to the Secret Service and the United States Marshal Service. He's required to appear either virtually or in person on Thursday, and he'll do that.
Does he want to be there in person?
It really depends on the security arrangements, so that's not in our control. But what the president wants to do is absolutely defend himself on these baseless charges. This is the first time that political speech has been criminalized in the history of the United States. It's the first time where a current president is using the criminal process to attack a former president on policy issues. We are in a constitutional abyss right now. We've never seen this.
Damn, he's hitting the same script, dude. He's hitting the same high notes, baby.
In 40 years as a defense lawyer, I've never seen this, but the president wants his day in court. But
my favorite type of lawyer speak is being Trump's lawyer, having Trump do something that is like completely unimaginable, because most people in that level, most people with that kind of power rarely ever want to rock the boat in such insane ways, unless they're a real estate fail son who failed upwards so successfully that he doesn't ever think that he will ever see any kind of punishment or accountability whatsoever. And you go, oh man, I can't believe this is a one-of-a-kind case. It's like, yeah, it is, but not for the reasons that you think it is. Like, you might try to turn around and be like, wow, this is such a one-of-a-kind case because, like, they're really coming after my client, sir. It's like, no, it's a one-of-a-kind case because it's like the legal equivalent of, like, a cannibal trying to rob a bank naked and like eating some of the tellers or something. It's like, it's only a one-of-a-kind case because it's so unique, because the crimes that you're engaging in at that point and the flagrant way that you are engaging in such crimes is unique.
most importantly, he wants to get to the truth, which we will do in this case.
Current president, of course, says he has not talked to the Attorney General or anyone at the Justice Department about these ongoing cases, specifically knowing that guys like you are going to...
And the Hunter Biden laptop was a Russian, hoax.
Completely unrelated matter, yes. And we should point out here on page 2, they make very clear, the defendant has a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and even to claim falsely that there had been outcome determinative fraud during the election and that he won. The issue is that they're claiming the actions taken and the deception and misleading supporters is what causes the criminal.
Advocacy and political action is equally protected by the First Amendment. So the First Amendment protects President Trump in this way. After 2020, he saw all these irregularities. He got affidavits from around the country, sworn testimony. He saw the rules being changed in the middle of the election process. As a president, he's entitled to speak on those issues. What the government would have to prove in this case...
Guys, they're being so ridiculous with my client. Like, he's just having a chat, dude. He's just having a chat. Once again, wild. You cannot make this argument about conspiracy to rob a fucking bank. You cannot make this argument about conspiracy to commit acts of terror. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You can't do that. You can try. I don't know if it'll work, though.
Beyond a reasonable doubt is that speech is not protected by the First Amendment.
But John, he also
never be able to do that.
He also, I know the clock is ticking, he also had a steady drumbeat from very qualified, including his own Attorney General, Bill Barr, who said this election was not stolen, Mr. President. He was told time and time and time again. And so he made a decision about which attorneys he would listen to. And I'm trying to figure out what was his process in deciding who he was going to listen to and who he's not, because he had very high qualified top people telling him repeatedly, and court rulings that told him this election was not stolen. Yet he continues today to still say it was.
The smoking gun of innocence.
The smoking gun of innocence?
Of innocence, which is a legal opinion from John Eastman, who's a constitutional scholar, who said, Mr. President, even aside from all the allegations of fraud, what you saw were changes in the rules in the middle of the political process. Only the legislatures in the states can make determinations as to the qualifications of electors under Article 2 of the Constitution. So John Eastman, who's an eminent scholar, gave the president an option, actually several options. What the president said is, I'm going to take the option that asks Mr. Pence to pause the voting so we go back to the contested states and allow the states one last time to make a decision on that. Nothing about that is criminal.
Why is it legal to say vote for me, but illegal to ask for 11,000 votes? Just curious. Exactly. I don't understand. Wow. Your Honor is really fucked up. When I take a piss in the bathroom of a public location, it's perfectly fine. But all of a sudden, when I decide to whip my dick out and take a piss in the middle of this courtroom, you're going to have an issue with that? Seems ridiculous. I'm a lawyer, by the way. It's kind of fucked up.
Investigation has shown that Mike Pence wasn't asked to pause the election. That's not what happened.
Actually, ultimately, in the ellipse speech, that's exactly what the president asked. Now, with respect to what the options were, all of the options that were offered to Mr. Pence were in that memo. Ultimately, President Trump, as the last option, asked Mr. Pence to pause the voting, and that was in the ellipse speech.
In the indictment where it says that Donald Trump said to Mike Pence at one point, you're just too honest, what does he mean by that?
Well, we don't even know what the circumstances were of that conversation. We have no idea the context. But what we do know is everything that President Trump did was with the advice of lawyers and counsel. That's an absolute defense.
To be fair, okay, so he's setting it up to to lock down the council independently, okay? However, I guess you could make that same argument for the mishandling of classified documents one as well, but ultimately it's not valid. Like you can try and establish that, but it's certainly not valid considering that one, you still acted on it. And two, you had other legal counsel telling you the exact opposite, and you chose to follow the legal counsel that was giving you information that you wanted to hear.
To a criminal case. Now, you may disagree about policy or disagree whether or not he made the right decision, but this is the first time that political speech has been criminalized, and they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he had corrupt intent, which they'll never do.
Are you concerned with the possibility, and it sounds like it's going to happen, that former Vice President Mike Pence is going to be a witness up against the former president?
We expect that he will be a witness, but what he has said consistently is he never thought that the president acted criminally.
He did say he protected the Constitution
Absolutely.
On that day.
And there's disagreement about what the Constitution means, and that's why you have constitutional scholars fighting this out. Mr. Pence is a lawyer. Not once did he...
Dude, you can fucking... Oh, my God. You can have an issue with constitutional lawyers duking it out. It's still... and have it still be a crime. Like, even if there are disagreements among scholars on particular issues, it can still very much be a crime that your client committed. It's kind of stupid.
Did he say, Mr. Trump, what you're asking me is criminal. Don't do that.
This is basically the highest level of... is this Admiralty Maritime Court? You know how we watch those sovereign citizen guys who always are like, "Oh, Your Honor, is this a Admiralty Maritime Court? Because under the American jurisdiction, I cannot be prosecuted for free travel and free trade or whatever the fuck. Like, that's what he's doing here. It's like, well, you know, I know it's a violation, or they're saying it's a violation, but I don't know. I admire the lawyer's ability to come up with a somewhat cogent argument in this case, to be honest. It's mad that he's even come up with something at all. I mean, this is probably one of Trump's more normal lawyers. He doesn't even have like a funny taco penis style name. So that's what happened here.
Two other quick things. This is a federal court in Washington.
Yes.
It's going to require a jury. That's a city that voted overwhelmingly against the former president. Would you seek?
If one of your lawyers told you you could legally rob a bank and the other lawyer told you you couldn't, and then the police, the chief of police that is your friend, told you, no, you can't rob a fucking bank, and you ended up conspiring to rob a bank anyway and got everything ready to rob the bank and like basically started to rob the bank and then it failed, you can't just turn around and be like, well, one of my lawyers told me I could do it. Like, you kind of can't do that.
Seek a venue change?
Absolutely. That's one of
Where
the
do you
first
want it to
things
go
we're gonna
instead?
do. Well, there's other options. I mean, there's certainly West Virginia, which is close by. There's other areas of the country.
West Virginia?
Absolutely. It's very in close proximity to D.C.
Which is like the political opposite of Washington, D.C.
Well,
you think you'll
listen,
get a fair trial there?
It's much more diverse in Washington, D.C., which I think went 95% for Mr. Biden.
One other thing.
Or there's other places. But the bottom line is the president, like everyone sitting in this room, is entitled to a fair trial. And we're going to get that.
In his
Donald
statement,
Trump has said that even if he's convicted, he will still continue to run for president. Do you think that?
Yeah, I mean, he can do that. That is legally in his rights to do so. There's precedent for it. Eugene V. Debs did it. It'll be really funny. So I'm on board with that. If we're being real, I think that'll be awesome. The only problem is he won't be able to do his he won't be able to do his appearances. You know what I mean? Here's Trump's campaign courtroom calendar, which I think is pretty funny. It's like a release. It's a release schedule. Thursday, the January 6th D.C. court appearance is going to happen. August 23rd, 2023 is the first GOP debate. October 2nd, 2023, Trump Organization civil suit. January 15th is the Iowa caucuses, but it also happens to be the E. Jean Carroll civil defamation suit, which, by the way, need not happen. But it did, because the first suit came down and Trump was found, I guess technically Trump was liable in the original defamation suit, to which he responded by defaming E. Jean Carroll in the same exact manner on CNN. Just remember, They literally, like, they're like, oh, yeah, you can't do this. You have to pay E. Jean Carroll money now. And then he turned around and said the exact same thing. A multiple $million blunder at this point for Trump. Then there's the pyramid scheme class action lawsuit on January 29, 2024. On March 5, it is Super Tuesday. March 25th is the New York State criminal hush money suit, which is the Manhattan DA. Then on May 20th, 2024 is the classified docs trial that starts. And July 15th, 2024 is the RNC, the Republican National Convention. And November 5th, 2024 is the election day. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot more in between. If, some of these things end up being troublesome for him. Well, not the civil suits necessarily, but... He will arrange a deal with the Justice Department where he stops running for president and he goes free. I feel like that would be the shittiest outcome. That would not be great. I do not want that.
That is, in many cases, if you're convicted of a crime, that sort of puts you out in
I also don't think that he would do that anyway. But who
terms
knows?
of a job that you may be seeking. Do you think it would be okay for him to be president of the United States if he's convicted of this crime?
In a case where there's a political prosecution, there's no doubt that he's going to continue to run. None of these charges preclude him from being president of the United States, not one.
Real quick, the Trump campaign yesterday called this reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the former Soviet Union, and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes.
Also, yeah, I don't even know how you would be able to give him a plea deal like that. The Justice Department can't stop state-level investigations anyway. The DOJ can, though. And two of the strongest suits are from the Department of Justice. Two of the strongest indictments are coming down from the DOJ and not necessarily the Manhattan DA. There is also a statewide RICO charge that is up right now. An investigation that's being conducted in that basically dovetails into the famous phone call. So there's that as well. Oh, here's Donald Trump's retaliation. This is nothing more than the latest corrupt chapter in the continued pathetic attempt by the Biden crime family and their weaponized DOJ to interfere with the 2024 presidential election in which President Trump is the undisputed frontrunner and leading by substantial margins. But why did they wait 2.5 years to bring these fake charges right in the middle of President Trump's winning campaign of 2024? Why was it announced the day after the big crooked Joe Biden scandal broke out from the halls of Congress? What was the scandal? What is the fucking big scandal? That Hunter Biden committed tax fraud, tax evasion, and got a gun and claimed that he was not under the influence.
Damn, this guy's good.